My son Daniel always believed I was a quiet, unremarkable woman. To him, I was just Mom, the one who reused grocery bags, wore the same gray coat every winter, and still used a phone with a cracked screen. The woman who insisted on taking the bus even when taxis were available. The woman who said, "I don't need much to be happy," and meant it. Daniel was 40 now, confident, successful, a senior consultant at a global firm, married to a woman who valued appearances, prestige, and proximity to power. Their life revolved around polished dinners, curated friendships, and conversations that sounded like resumes. I never corrected his assumptions about me. I never told him that I owned the building he worked in, or that the small investment account I mentioned once casually had grown into something far more influential. Some truths are easier to carry alone. The invitation. The call came on a Tuesday evening. "Mom," Daniel said, his voice distracted, "Sophia's parents are visiting from Singapore. They want to meet you. Properly." Properly. The word lingered. "They've booked a private dining room at Aurelius. Just be yourself." Aurelius was not a restaurant you chose casually. It was where executives negotiated mergers over wine older than most marriages, where reservations required connections, not phone calls. "I'll come," I said calmly. After the call ended, I sat by the window and watched the city lights flicker on. I wasn't nervous, I was curious, because I already knew how Sophia's parents saw people like me. Or rather, how they didn't. Who I pretended to be. That night, I dressed the way I always did. Plain navy coat, sensible shoes, no jewelry except my wedding ring, thin gold, unremarkable to the untrained eye. I arrived early and waited outside the restaurant, watching luxury cars pull up, drivers opening doors, polished shoes stepping onto the pavement. When Daniel and Sophia arrived, Sophia kissed my cheek lightly, her eyes scanning my outfit in half a second. "Hi," she said politely. "You found the place okay?" "I took the bus," I replied. There it was, the flicker of discomfort, quickly masked, quickly judged. Inside, Sophia's parents were already seated. Mr. and Mrs. Chen, elegant, controlled, their smiles practiced. Introductions were made. "So," Mrs. Chen asked, lifting her glass, "what line of work were you in before retirement?" Before. The assumption sat comfortably on her tongue. "I worked in operations," I said. "Oh," she replied, nodding, clearly done with the topic. The rest of the table came alive, talk of international projects, investments, influential acquaintances. My son laughed. His father-in-law boasted. His mother-in-law compared private schools. I listened. I always do. The test. Halfway through dinner, Mr. Chen leaned back and said, "Daniel tells us you prefer a simple lifestyle, very modest." "Yes," I said. "That must be difficult," Mrs. Chen added softly, "especially when your son is doing so well." Daniel shifted uncomfortably. "I raised him to value independence," I said. Mr. Chen smiled thinly. "Of course. Still, some parents expect support later in life." Ah, there it was, the quiet calculation. Would I become a burden? Would I embarrass them? Sophia avoided my eyes. "I manage fine," I replied. The waiter arrived, addressing Mr. Chen directly. "Shall we proceed with the wine pairing you requested?" "Yes," Mr. Chen said, "for everyone except—" He paused, glancing at me. "Perhaps she'd prefer something simpler. Water." He meant water. "I'll have the same pairing," I said. Silence. The waiter hesitated. Mr. Chen laughed lightly. "It's quite expensive." "So am I," I replied calmly. Daniel stared at me. Sophia blinked. Mrs. Chen's smile faltered. The rest of the meal unfolded differently. Questions now came my way, cautious, probing. "So, operations where? How long? Must have required discipline." I answered politely, briefly. Then my phone buzzed. I glanced at the screen, excused myself. Outside the private room, I answered. "Yes," I said, "approve it, and notify the board." I returned to the table. Daniel was watching me closely now. Before anyone could speak, a man approached our table. Tall, confident, impeccably dressed. "Miss Alvarez," he said warmly, "I hope I'm not interrupting. I didn't realize you'd be dining here tonight." Sophia's parents froze. "I'm hosting a board meeting upstairs. We'll be starting shortly, but I wanted to personally thank you for your decision this afternoon." "What decision?" Daniel asked quietly. I met his eyes. "The one that keeps your company solvent." The man extended his hand to Daniel. "Pleasure to meet you. Your mother is our majority stakeholder." The words hit the table like shattered glass. Daniel stood halfway, then sat back down. Sophia's face drained of color. Mr. Chen opened his mouth, closed it, tried again. "Stakeholder?" he repeated. "I founded the holding group 20 years ago," I said softly. "I stepped away from public roles long before Daniel finished university." Mrs. Chen's voice trembled. "But your lifestyle?" "I chose it." Silence swallowed the room. The waiter returned, suddenly nervous. The manager followed, apologizing for not recognizing me sooner. I raised a hand. "Please don't make this uncomfortable." Too late. The reckoning. Sophia stared at me, her expression unreadable. "You let us believe," she began. "I let you see what you were comfortable seeing," I replied. Mr. Chen cleared his throat. "This has been enlightening." "Yes," I said, "it has." I stood. "I wanted to meet the people my son has tied his life to, not to judge wealth, but to understand character." Daniel whispered, "Mom." I placed a hand on his shoulder. "You never asked," I said gently. To Sophia's parents, I added, "and you never looked." They didn't speak as I walked away. Aftermath. Daniel called me the next day, angry, confused, hurt. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I wanted you to become who you are without leaning on who I am." There was a long pause. Sophia never apologized, but she never looked at me the same way again either. As for her parents, they requested a meeting. I declined. Some lessons don't require a second lecture. Who I really am. I am not the woman you overlook. I am not the silence at the table. I am not the coat, the bus, or the cracked phone. I am the choice to remain unseen. And sometimes the most devastating truth is not revealed loudly. It simply walks into the room, sits down quietly, and lets everyone expose themselves.